Usually issues about the Global South only come into the attention of the media when there's a war, when there's a famine, when there's a crisis, or absolute mayhem or terrorism. You seldom get issues that would give you the impression that actually there are people just like you and I living in most developing countries. I don't think the media is doing a very good job of informing people what's happening in the wider world at all. I think their presentation of issues is quite superficial. And I think the issue goes in and out of the agenda. It goes in the agenda when there's a big celebrity on board. So you have Make Poverty History. But by and large, unless it's terrorist-related or not even famine-related, actually, the media doesn't seem to want to touch the issue on any level of depth. I think what happens with the media now is that people are presented with images of hopelessness, that actually you can't do anything about it. If you look at something like the Haiti crisis, we sent money, we still hear about and only see people living in desperate conditions. The general public is feeling quite weary about what they're seeing on the images in the media, and that there's nothing they can do about it. Why should we be paying aid to the developing world when actually they can't solve problems? They're just, we should just write these people off. All we get are poverty, famine, corruption, and so on. Comic Relief on BBC Two shows the Kibera slum documentary. It went on over several days. Celebrities, Lenny Henry and others, are suffering in the Kibera slums. The only explanation given about why those people were poor was that the government wasn't providing services to the slum. So those people in Kibera are there because they've been forced to migrate to cities to look for work because they can't afford to feed themselves, because food prices are too high. And those are the types of issues we campaign on. And that's very, very difficult to explain to the British public via the media. And there are very few, I would say, newspapers, certainly not broadcast, that really effectively cover these issues. I actually think that if people were aware that the same issues that are causing austerity measures in the UK, the same issues that are causing the IMF to go into Ireland, or the same issues that are causing our food prices to go up by 6%, even though it might be 70% in developing countries, so same structural issues causing that, I think people would be actually far more engaged in thinking they can do something about it. I think journalists working with organizations like ours cooperatively can sometimes find ways to cover an issue. I think if journalists seek to find more ways to connect developing world issues to rich country issues, because actually the issues in many ways are similar, it's just on a different scale. I think that could certainly help in getting those issues much more prevalent. And to represent and speak to people who are living in developing countries. Don't always have a rich, white, middle-aged man speaking on their behalf. But I also think they need to display signs of hope. And most of the developing world has the ability to be quite self-sufficient. There are some great success stories. And as I said, I think getting a stronger impression that people who live in the developing world are just like you and I. They're not, they're not sort of the disaffected masses that we can't do anything about. They are like you and I, and I think the media has to really come to grips with that reality.